Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of the Inworld Review. This is a program where we look at places on the hypergrid. And what is the hypergrid, you may ask? Well, the hypergrid is a system that connects all virtual worlds, hundreds, maybe even thousands of them together, on the sole proviso that they're authored using Open Simulator software, which comes in many flavors as well. It's a bit like the oldie world called Second Life, which you may have heard of, which started it all really, though that particular world is a closed garden, a walled garden is the phrase. In other words, you can't jump between things. Anyway, the hypergrid allows us to jump between different grids, to cast an inventory around with us and communicate all over the planet, basically, whether virtually or just on audio. And so this show is really devoted to arts, destinations, and of course people on the hypergrid. Now, we weren't here last week because we were involved in the production of a totally magnificent event called the Hypergrid International Expo, European edition, as I keep calling it now. We will be talking about this a bit later with our guests. And I'll come to that in a minute. Right, my name is Mal Bones, of course, and I'm the host. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you. But queuing the others here, on my right, I've got James Atlloud, who's the right-hand man. He pushes buttons and sits on things, basically activating audio, video, and sometimes a few weird noises. Welcome, James.
Every now and then. That is so true, Mal. And
every now and then, you emit a weird noise every now and again.
Every now and then. But I need you to push a button, and that would be your lip movement button.
Yeah.
Button.
A lip movement button. Oh, gosh, yeah. Good another be. I think, yes, I sort of came in, and I was thinking I was in the old-fashioned place where I needed to.
Right.
Yes, there we are. Lip movement is buttoning. It's gone off again now. What's it? Let's try a different style. No, toggle to talk. Yeah, there we are. Okay. There we are. There we are.
Success.
Oh, it's a funny old world. If you want to speak, you got to press a button. One button for audio and one button for lips. So dear, oh dear, this virtual world business isn't really quite what it seems, is it now? Okay. So welcome to James. On the left-hand side of me is my wonderful, from Hypergrid Safari and everywhere else, actually, it's a wonderful co-host is Thirza Ember.
Yeah, hello everybody.
Thirza.
Glad to be here. Thank you, Mal.
Indeed. And we also have a doggy who's not called Woofus. Barkus, that's it. Barkus is sitting between us, but
yes,
fortunately he's not barking unless James sits on the sound effect. Right, moving on. Right, so now we usually start, as we are indeed today, a rather short one actually, with a little section called Hypergrid Happenings, put together by Thirza here. So without further ado, it's Hypergrid Happenings.
Yes, Hypergrid Happenings. That took me by surprise. I thought we were going to have a couple more seconds there. But the Hypergrid never stops. So it's only right that we should have Hypergrid Happenings quite unexpectedly. And there's just a few things to mention this week. Obviously, there's millions of events happening all over the Hypergrid. These are just a couple of highlights. So please do consult your own grid's event calendar. You can consult many different sites on Facebook that tell you about upcoming events, including one called Hypergrid Happenings. And of course, if you go over to OpenSimWorld, there's a huge amount of events listed on their website. So that's another good place, opensimworld.com. Anyway, I'd like to talk to you about something that's coming up. It's not immediate, but it's coming up in the next few weeks, and that is a brand new build by Lunaria, who we all love, over on Wolf Territories Grid. She has a sim with a very easy name to remember. It's called Lunaria Emporium Main Store. Very long name, but it does what it says on the can. And she's building a brand new shop, basically. So if you love architecture and if you love to shop, do keep an eye out for the grand opening. I think it's called Imperial or something like that. Anyway, you'll see it when you get there, over to the main store there on Wolf Grid territories. Another thing that's coming up, of course, is the Hypergrid trip, the safari. And that's coming up on Wednesday, as usual. We have two really interesting destinations. One, we're going to see Carsten, Running Bear, who's over on Pangea Grid. He's invited us to his sandbox sim, which has a name that I cannot pronounce. But he is really there. Thank you, Tosha. I knew you could do it. But he makes a lot of vehicles. He has planes and he has cars and he has boats. He's going to tell us how he got into that and how he does that. And he's also got an incredible vehicle, which is a seaplane that can land on water. So that's a very special script he's got there. So he's going to explain all about that to us. And the other thing we're going to do is go over and see a build by Lavia Levine, and it's called Haven of Memories. And it's a sort of it's a place where you can remember people that you've lost one way or another in virtual worlds or elsewhere. So she's going to be explaining to us why she decided to build that. So two very different builds, but I think both interesting to make us more aware of the culture of OpenSim, which is so very varied. Another fun thing coming up.
We can celebrate the fact that that's May Day on Wednesday too. So
we're all true. Yeah, May Day.
We're all good on May Day, don't we? We all dance around our poles and we can find. But it's a happy day because we're supposed to be well and truly into spring. We can switch the heaters off.
And with hope, right? Yeah, not here.
Yeah.
Anyway, another thing happening on May Day, but it will already be May the 2nd here in Europe. But it's this karaoke, and it's happening over on a grid that I really like, and it's called My Virtual Beach. Is the name of the grid, and there's some really lovely people. Trizzy's over there, and this event is run by Mistress Delgado, who's another very nice person, and that's at 7 o'clock Central Time, which of course is 5 o'clock SLT on May the 1st. I shall be asleep by then, but I'm sure anybody who likes to do karaoke, Mal, just saying, you should go over there and have some fun with them. I really think I would love to see the recording of that.
I've heard of sleepwalking, but I think sleep singing might be a bit beyond me.
Another fun thing, of course, DJ Madril is a great performer. He's a bit of a role player. He's a bit of an elf. He's a bit of everything, a bit of a hippie, all that stuff going on. He's a great DJ, a great performer, and he'll be performing over on AMV at the Nestor Parkers region. So go over there and take a look. The actual sim is called Airmid. Quite easy to find over on AMV Grid. Lovely place. And something else that's coming up, which is on a grid that you may not have visited, is Candle's RP World, which is a German role-playing group. They Canderanians, you may know about them. Anyway, they have a wonderful event, and it's called Love Parade. And I thought, this I definitely think this is something Mal should get into. It's very, very 70s looking to me, 70s, 80s, 90s. So there's a great vibe going on.
60s for me, I'm afraid.
Oh, come on. I don't believe it.
A bit of everything, You can
great name for the region, though, Halle Galley. So that's happening. Isn't that lovely? So that's on the 3rd, which is Friday. So go along to that if you can. That'll be a fun thing to do. And really, that's my roundup for today. But as I say, so many other things happening all over the Hypergrid, all over the metaverse. So don't miss out on having some fun and getting to spend some time with people. And bear in mind, if you do have a special event, a project, a party, some kind of art opening, maybe you teach a class, anything like that coming up on your grid, let us know. We'll be very happy to include it in Hypergrid Happenings.
Well, thanks for that, Thirza. Intriguing looking at the poster for Luna Lamaria, actually, because It looked like it was like 30s architecture or something she might be working on, but the other giveaway was the typeface she's used on the poster there. Everything made me think of 30s. I mean, I'm probably going to be proven
Absolutely,
wrong.
Art Deco or something.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Oh, right. We always think alike, don't we? Right. Okay. Well, now we get down to a little bit of business. Basically, we were meant to have 2 guests in the studio today. And to be honest, we have. But one of them, unfortunately, is unable to speak, or at least he can.
I'm with you now.
Oh,
I
you
got
are.
it fixed.
And you can hear us. You can hear us too. Wonderful.
Yeah, I was just trying to create a little drama for my entrance.
Nicely
Came
done.
to the right place, my friend.
If I'd known, I'd have given you a catwalk.
I had all you guys full.
You could have
fooled,
walked
I
in
know
from
that.
the back. You could have walked in from the back, where the sign says that you're on. Along with another guest who isn't there anyway. Okay, well, now I can do the proper thing. I can introduce the guests we have here. One of them is my sort of second co-host, actually, on occasions now. That's Tosha Tyran. So welcome, Tosha.
Hello, thank you for the welcome and thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming with a brand new mic. Because you sound good. You sound good now. And our other guest, the voice you just heard testing himself, is Jennings. He's been on the show before, but he was one of the he gave the opening host sort of thing in English, oddly enough, at the HIE last weekend, and he's going to help us look back at things that happened last weekend too. That basically is the theme for this week. We've got loads of pictures, we've got loads of videos, and oddly enough, you will find all the proceedings really posted on the YouTube account of HIE. If you look at that, is it just HIE or is it HIE Expo?
HIE Expo.
HIE Expo on
no space.
YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah. But we actually have more than enough video, and none of it is duplicating what's already on HIE. This is all fresh pictures from DJ Sophie and video that I took while I was taking time off from doing other things, so to speak. So plenty to look at as we go along. And I'm not really sure how to go about it. I'll just sort of be starting some of the videos, I think. But before I do that, the other thing, of course, that happened this week is we had the first edition of season 2, it will have been, of the Hypergrid Safari, put together, of course, by Thirza. So welcome again, Thirza. Thanks for having us back on Safari this week. It looked good. Okay, so she's not
thanks for coming. I mean, all I did was organize it.
Yeah.
The other people did all the work.
Okay. I'm just talking for the sake of it while I actually try and find a screen where it's all happening. Here we are. There we are.
In that case, I'd like to take all the credit for everything ever been built on OpenSim in general, and all the good stuff in particular. Okay.
You heard it here first, folks. And actually, I do believe it is quite possibly true. In this day and age of false news and false things,
well, that's true.
And fake things, for once, I think you have witnessed somebody talking the truth. Oh,
yeah, I don't think if I identify as the creator of all good stuff in OpenSim, I don't think that's going to get me any credit. But I can try it.
You're the intrepid discoverer, explorer, rather than the creator. But you're a good creator too, and you talk a good talk as well. Okay, well, I've actually opened here HG Safari on screen, which is hgSafariblogspot.com, and this is where you post the various things from around the place anyway, but when Safari's in season, you obviously do two posts a week about the places we stopped. So quickly running through these, you had the... Okay, yeah, you have posts on HIE, of course. The opening parties on Friday, then Saturday, Sunday. I also leave folks to dig out that. And, of course, you had the announcement about Safari heading out again here. But there's just a single picture on that one. Right, Safari Magic. Here we go, I think. I'm busy looking at the thumbnails here, and I can't find them. Have I got the right? Okay, let's try... Safari. Okay, Safari on Europa. Okay, this is the actually, there's a second destination we went to on Wednesday, but this one is working for me. So I've loaded some of the pictures. So I'll let Thirza again just talk us through this. Obviously, you can see we're all gathered in Europa and having fun.
Yeah, that's correct. So, of course, this build is by Jimmy Olsen, who a lot of people know as the purveyor of many fine objects, especially on his regions on AMV Grid, like Flora and the Light and Sound Museum, where you can pick up lots and lots of beautiful plants and interesting lamps and signs and things like that. But this is not on AMV. This build is on Wolf Territories Grid, where he has this concept build, which I think everybody found absolutely fabulous. Obviously, it's a mesh build. It's part installation. It's part sort of dancing place. There's loads of areas for dancing. And it's part more. So it's really got the trifecta. And it's just a very beautiful place. Fascinating to make photos or GIFs. You know, it's so easy. You just point and click, and you've got this beautiful GIF without really doing anything.
Yeah.
There's so much happening. And of course, Tosha and James were also with us on this trip, so
Yeah.
I don't know what they made of it. If they could see it all, okay.
No, I had a really difficulties. It was lagging very much, and I got catapulted out of it a couple of times. And after the third or fourth time crashing, I just gave up and I went to bed. I was really sorry about it and sad about it. And I read on the blog that you write, Thirza, and I thought, oh shit, what did I miss? You know, but there was nothing I could do about it. I really thought it was very sad.
That's funny. Was
Yeah,
that,
unfortunately, that happens sometimes.
yeah, was that for the second stop, Tosha, or for the first stop?
No, the second,
Okay.
the one on Wolf Territory.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just the opposite. I had really difficult time at the castle house.
Oh yeah, you said so.
Yeah, but for the space one, it was really good. I had a great experience.
That is really strange because at that castle house, that I thought it was funny. I could see everything. I could go everywhere. I felt like a kid in the story of Harry Potter with all that magic stuff in there and the way it was explained. And I took them all. I took so much stuff with me like I never did on any safari. And when I came back to my homeland, I started trying some things out, and it was wonderful. Really, I played about, the rest of the week I played with this magic stuff.
But that's great. That's exactly the point of so many people have said in the past, why don't you just go to one place and stay there for the full 2 hours or 3 hours, as the safari used to be way back when? And this is exactly why I've never done that, or very, very rarely there's a special safari where we do that. This is exactly why, because people's experiences are so different and you cannot know what they're experiencing. And also people's interests are very different. One person may see both builds perfectly well, but one is absolutely doesn't speak to them at all. And the other one is just fascinating. So that's why we try and mix it up so much. But obviously, Jimmy's done a great job here. And I really want to give a huge shout out to Zenon Darrow, who was our guide. She was on the show a couple of weeks ago. And so she's very enthusiastic about Jimmy's builds. And she took us around. She did a good job. I think it's the first time she's really taken us anywhere. So usually our hosts, they rush us everywhere, and because they kind of forget that we're trying to take photos and get our bearings and everything. And okay, 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there. They're rushing because they're nervous as well. But she did slow down, and she did give us a chance to see everything, because it's just so much to take in. And I would say that this is a build you could never really get through in 1 hour and see everything.
Not at all.
It would take multiple visits really to experience the whole thing, because there's so much going on.
I do remember coming to this build to take some film. Maybe it was when Zenon was on, I'm not sure. But I came in, I finally got inside, but I kept falling through floors and things like that, because it really is a it's no longer a criticism because it's the way it's built. You know, you've got to be careful how you don't fall off a level. But you know, I wandered around just taking in the architecture on camera. But in fact, as a result of Safari, I've just realised there's so many different areas and NPCs and moving things going on that you, if you park your camera in the right place, you know, even if there's nobody there, there's action.
Well, really, that's how I understand Safari. It is to give you a first, a sight of what you can see. And I normally go, normally to most places, oh, excuse me, I go back to see, to visit another time or a third time and a fourth time or so. And of course, when you go alone, it's not so funny as with so many people, but much less lag.
Yeah, that's
And you can, and so I haven't gone back to the wolves territory yet, but I sure will. I couldn't go back because I had some issue RL, and also because I had to play with the magic stuff. Oh,
yes.
so
Well,
much,
talking of which, I've now moved on to the next blog. Oh, yes, we have got some pictures. Here we are. Right. This was actually our first stop, in fact, before we went to Europa. And this was the Magic Island, as I call it. Our host actually impressed me most because, you know, he looks like sort of promotes himself like a magician. And I thought, you know, well, this is the magic of virtual worlds, the magic of the hypergrid. But his scripts are absolutely intriguing and things. And I sort of looked at this and I thought, you know, it's you go to a lot of scenes where people have decorated and got it looking really good, but this guy's got scripts galore, and some of them, you know, are literally magic tricks in their own right. So this actually is where we first landed, and I'll hand over to Thirza here. It was just is this a field of lavender or something? I don't know. But this is where we landed first, so we moved on.
Yeah, this is. I think Cyber just modified the regular landing point for us, because actually when you usually go to Wizardry, you res immediately in front of the shop. That's the normal landing point. He's slightly modified it, I think, probably just for us, so that he could bring us from that beautiful lavender field there to take these wonderful vehicles, which I thought was a great way to start the visit. And you just sailed across. Here we are arriving to the little house that he's got, which is full of. And this is really another nice touch, is that he finds things around OpenSim that have a script that is either inefficient or broken, and he will fix it. And so that even older objects get another lease of life. And I think that's charming way to sort of recycle, if you like, some of the heritage that we have here in OpenSim. So he focuses quite a bit on that and making the different scripts that he writes much more efficient. Of course, he's a whiz. We know he has a couple of degrees in this kind of stuff, so in the real world. So Cyberglow's a very, very smart guy, and you know,
get a degree in
very
wizardry.
generous.
Were you
was
with
on the
us,
show a
John?
while back. I think you might remember when we talked about Mumble. He was on the show talking about him. So he's a bit of a pioneer.
I've still got
a maker of things.
I've had Mumble running for weeks now, but nothing much happens on it. So,
he's a very generous guy. So
I was just going to ask Em, were you with us on this trip, Em? I forget.
No, I wasn't on this trip.
Yeah. I heard you coming and commenting, so yeah.
You have it up on the screen though, right?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, so we're just talking through the pictures, yeah. Okay, me and Thirza and somebody with their hand up in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Frank. It's been ages since I've seen Frank, so that was lovely to see Frank again. There was lots of friends that it's been a while since we've seen them on Safari, so it's lovely to see them pop again. You know, not everybody can spare 2 hours for the whole Safari because they've got, you know, their own lives to lead. But it's lovely when somebody comes and just says hello. So. And here we are with the tarot cards. I think he was talking, Cyberglow was talking about how all these tarot cards, the cards are actually scanned. He's got copies of authentic older images. So everything's, the attention to detail is incredible here. And again, as Tosha said, it's just so much happening. You really can't take it all in. It's definitely there are places where you need to go back and see them again and again.
This, of course, is outside the shop, isn't it? Facing the other way, just clear, the Magic Society.
Is magic the general theme of this build?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it really of the whole house where he had us go, and he had on the upper floor he had a library that was full of magic stuff, and I think I just brought up everything that was in there,
Yeah, I think I did that. Click, 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 and coming around. So what else can I get? Yes,
So
it's a hive of freebies, I must say. Yeah.
So we should all visit the library, right?
Yeah, well, the whole island.
Well,
I mean, it's not actually that big. It's just intriguing, and there's a lot of stuff lying around that you can pick up.
The house of his that we went to has about, 15 different rooms, and you have so many doors and open and close, and you get lost and everything, but so beautiful and with so many details. It was just nice. And on the upper floor was a library with loads of books, and then packages in between with all different magic stuff,
Okay, this is a little bit of film in the same place where we're landing, so you'll get a flavour of this. I probably won't run all of it. It's 6 minutes. So. But yeah, the first stop, and I missed it because I was too busy filming, but was actually over here. While I was busy zooming over there to film, everybody else was getting on the vehicle to go there. Yeah, but I think this was the one that was his house, isn't it? So it's am I right? There was 3 main islands and buildings, basically.
I mean, technically they're all his house because it's his sim, but I think this is more of a showcase of some of his scripted stuff. And then the other house has his computer room, which of course that was the room that both Kelso, who unfortunately isn't with us today, which is a shame because he did such a great job on the HIE. Kelso and James were both commenting how that was the room for them with all the screens and everything. Do you remember?
Right.
Oh yeah.
But the walls of that kept disappearing for me too. But when I zoomed away and zoomed back in, then they would appear. So
yeah, but you know what happens? The build is all of mesh, and the walls are very, very thin. And if you have a mesh that is so thin, then it can happen very easily that it just disappears from view.
Oh, okay.
I found that out that I'm always making mesh walls a little thicker now.
Yeah, and I find that when I'm filming, if I zoomed in and I'm admiring something, not knowing whether it's mesh or not, if I, use the scroll wheel to zoom out a bit, it suddenly goes poof. And I know it's there, but it disobeys all the rules of draw distance, basically. This is nice, isn't it? So, all these planets and sort of hanging up in the top there. They're hard to see get up to the top or snoop in with the camera.
It's a really, really nice, some really, really nice buildings that he had there.
Yeah, and of course it's great too that the various scripts that he makes are free, so that there's all kinds of different things that he does make. Various, some of them are just for fun, items that are more for fun. Some of them are security items to help you be aware of people visiting your region, or things like settings of your region. So just with a script, you can immediately see what's going on with your region, stuff like that. It's all interesting stuff. And but I like the way that he has it set up, that it's not just a very bland sort of mall style builds that you go in and just click on the item and just take it. It's an experience. It's a bit of an adventure, just going around and looking for It's like Second Life was at the beginning, wasn't it? Very much that style before,
Right,
of course,
yeah.
the marketplace came along and priced everybody out of having a
Yeah,
shop.
that's true. That's true. Well, what I also think is very nice in this, at least the scripts that I found, and I'm not at all a scripter, but you can look into the scripts and you can even, read the scripts and change the scripts, adapt them to your needs. So that is very, very nice because you very rarely find that, that people give their scripts even
Yeah,
free
give them
to
away.
modify,
I found it very interesting too that he learned how to do the HUDs, got into it in Second Life, and he named a bunch of people. And if you look at that blog post, you'll see where he talks about the people who got him into that. And if you go into Second Life and you look at the marketplace, some of that stuff is still available today. So but we're very lucky that obviously those things are made to be sold in Second Life, and so we're very lucky to have so many interesting things for sale, not for sale, for free here in OpenSim.
I'll just click
Korean
this
was
back.
so much more fun to get, because normally the lands are much nicer than the ones in Second Life with all the,
Yep.
the commercial sense.
We're back on the Blogspot blog here. Same with here. Oh, did we mention this?
My library.
The library full of magic
A
spells.
magic library, yes.
We go the great books of the unknown arts or hidden arts or something.
And there's a patron of the library.
Is it?
Yeah, Tosha was in that picture.
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. That's a bit bland, that picture, though. Where is that?
Oh, but this is. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure this is not what it really looked like. This was a sky box, and I think it just didn't res for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't think it really
nor
looks this way. But that's just it's just such a subjective experience every time you go out on the Hypergrid, and that's kind of why it's fun to go as a group, because then you can compare your experiences. As in this room at the moment, that we're looking at, this picture, and the walls were there like maybe 50% of the time for me. I had to wait until the walls returned, and then I took my photo.
I had no walls. I had no
It's
walls
a small
at all.
grid. It's a grid that is not made in any shape or form for large groups of people. It's not a party destination or anything like that. It's a personal grid. So I thought it did really well.
Yeah.
I think when I was actually filming here, maybe I had gone in advance. So there were no other avatars on the set. So I was picking up those clocks and everything. The only disappointing thing was, I remember, was when I was filming, I tried to zoom in on the sort of readout panels in the computer room, and I realized that they're not actually readable. They're simulated. But there again, that's the idea, really, isn't it?
You're one of those people that if you tell them that there's a hospital in Second Life that you'll have to go to if you fall off a building, you'll believe it, no?
Oh God, I came across a 2-hour thing from Second Life the other day, and it was the story of a woman giving birth in Second Life. Oh, God, 2 hours of this thing with a prelude of different stages of pregnancy. And I mean, I suppose they try to be educational, but somebody just says, there's better ways to do this, aren't there? There you can see you're standing against the readouts there anyway.
That's Luna Lunaria. She was standing there and she had that wonderful pose with the hands.
It is good, yeah.
And of course, it made me think of HIE, and I saw that.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to be coming back to HIE soon. HIE, sorry.
Oh, and Forest with the love of red.
Yeah. Yes, quite dominating that dress, actually.
Yeah.
On the monitor I went in on, I've got a slight fault in the monitor, and a pillar box red, as I call it, and on that monitor looks more like a magenta, so it's quite odd sort of thing.
But it was so funny because when we first went there, I saw her as a little gray avatar, naked gray, like a little worm.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, oh well, I have to click on her, but before I did, all of a sudden it went BAM! It was such a huge, brilliant red dress.
Yeah.
It was such a
Yeah,
change.
you could
I
hide
really had
3
to
grown
learn.
men in that dress, couldn't you?
Yes,
You wouldn't
you
even
could.
know they were there.
The question is, what would it good be? Would it be good for to have 3 men hidden in your dress?
Right.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that one.
Moving right along then.
Right.
Moving along, yes. Oh, how about a lizard up the dress? Sorry, just forget what was on film there. I think it was a lizard, wasn't it? Right, let's. This is the final building, wasn't it? Or was that the one that was his house? I forget. Anyway, I'm going to pause that because we don't have endless time. Okay, I've also got back to Europa here. We've also got a safari clip from Europa. I'm just going to give a bit of this because it's 10 minutes. I'm not going to show that much, but we can just keep looking at Europa again for a while. I mentioned that, that when I went there first, it was just filming the architecture, whereas when you really get into the nitty-gritty detail of the build, it's all these places with NPCs or whatever else going on there. So it's lively even when you're not there. Although, as you can see, we were there. I'll do a bit of cheating here, and I'm going to head on through so we get a bit more variety from near the end here. Yeah. And it's really amazing when you think of it's just the scripts, the build, the textures, the details, and all these multiple levels too. When you look at it from a distance, it looks a bit samey, but then you realize as you go into the various parts of it that it's far from samey.
And very atmospheric. I found it very atmospheric. I don't know if you
very
guys
much.
did too. Waiting for the train as a group. You felt like you were in it's a movie or something. I don't know, The Sixth Sense, not The Sixth Sense, The Fifth Element, or something
Yes.
like that. So very much a filmy feel to it. It's a wonderful build, and really is fun to visit as a group. Yeah, definitely.
I felt it was so very immersive, just because of everything. I mean, there was a lot of variety, but a lot of original design. And it really felt like being in a very different place. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I want to shout out also to Contessa Lacombe, who was dressed as that Watu or something, some character. I'm unfortunate, I don't know anything about Star Wars, so I don't know the name of the character. But she was with Xenon the whole time, and that was Contessa, who of course we know from Wildwood Biogrid principally. And so she was very much part of that, and a bit of role play, and that always adds to the fun. I thought they did such a good job, the girls, in making us in being hosts and explaining the build a little bit, but keeping it always very light. I thought they did a fantastic job. And of course, it was great to see Jimmy as well. The reason why Jimmy didn't host the visit himself personally, it's because he has a problem with his hands, a real life problem. And he's not very well. And so it's tough for him to type. So because of that, he asked Xenon to do the job for him. But of course, he was there, he was present with us the whole time, just not responding to the questions that we were asking.
No, but it's a great visit anyway. I think I've gone wandering by this time. Encountering, I recognise this. Well, never mind. That's the backdrop we got on our new show. Not this show, but yeah. The other thing is say colourful as well. I was just jumping into film, but you've got so much lighting. Under contrast. It's not all one colour palette. Some bits. Real primary colours mixed with more subtle ones, but just lots of it. Okay, that's this is where we got on the train, so we'll have a look at this bit again. You basically sit there, and I think basically the outside moves around you as opposed to some of these builds where the train itself moves, because there are a couple of bits where it stopped, as it were, but there was still movement behind. I'm no expert. It does seem seamless somehow. There's James, of course, and who's I don't know who he was sitting with there. I've forgotten for a second. Oh dear me. Oh, there was our host, of course. That's Zenon, if I recall. Oh, and yes, our little friend there. What's his name? I haven't seen him for ages.
Frank.
Forgot it. I forgot it. Oh dear, I'm growing old. I can't remember any of his name anymore. There's Thirza behind us, of course. Oh, and here's our friend with the top hat here. We saw him waving at us earlier. Right, okay. Let's just zoom along a bit there. Okay, and then we got interface. So, okay, so also on Europa, Star sent these pictures, which I converted to video anyway, but with just some quick pressing the wrong arrow there, aren't I? I think that's is this? I'm not quite sure, but we'll see. Yeah, basically this is just a slideshow again. Bit similar to this as a slideshow, but obviously different angle, different places.
Yeah, Star is she's getting more and more into taking photos. She was telling me, and
Yeah.
so she really enjoys doing that on Safari, and it's a nice way to capture kind of the faces, the folks that come on Safari, as well as some of the builds as well, obviously. But she does do a great job of zooming in on some of the people so that everybody kind of gets a visual mention, if you like. And she usually posts those over on Facebook. She puts them in the HG Safari group. So
yeah, these interestingly, what I had to do is I had to film the slideshow in Facebook and turn it into a film here, because I can't load Facebook into this shared screen, as it were. But she's done quite a lot there. I'm going to keep an eye on it. And Sophie, who is one of our videographers, has sent me a load of pics here too. So it's nice when you see when the video is great and you can get a lot in, but sometimes it's like pausing a video, a still picture, that gives you just room to muse on something, like a frozen piece of time, rather than lots of movement. There she is again. Oh, and who's that, I wonder?
Thirza.
Yeah, this was very funny here at the end. This is a sort of it's almost an outdoor bit that's actually wholly indoors. But sorry, Em, you were saying?
I'm wondering if Thirza posts the safaris any place at the travel agency, or you still have the travel agency? I can't remember. I'm hearing about a lot of things I would like to follow up on, and I'm not taking notes. And the slides are going by really fast, and so for me, as somebody,
the place to check out Thurza's blog is hgsafari.blogspot.com. That will help our viewers if I remind them of it. And that's where I'm producing the slideshow from. But her whole blog has interviews and talk and things like that. So I just extract the slides for, a bit of a visual presentation here.
The blog of Thirza about the safari is very, very nice. It's really worth it reading it, because it's sort of a good mixture of being serious, explaining well the things, and being a little funny, sometimes a little sarcastic, and has excellent photos.
Mm-hmm.
It's
a little
really
sarcastic.
Good. Yeah,
really?
A little sarcastic.
Me? That's it.
No, almost never.
This kind of reminds me of one of the presentations, I think in the French session, about developing a calendar, a universal calendar for the hypergrid region, and there are not many things going on in the hypergrid that are as interesting, I don't think, as the travel safari, but I'm sure there are other things that would be nice to have some way to locate them.
Yep.
Well, the best ways to find out what's happening in OpenSim is, without a doubt, if you go to opensimworld.com and you look in the events, there are loads and loads of. I should think for every day of the week, there's probably at least 10 events that are posted there. Obviously, not everybody cares for OpenSim World, because occasionally on the front page, people's emotions come a little bit too much to the fore, and there is a certain amount of fighting that happens on the site. But if you go to the events section, you will not be affected by that whatsoever. Another really good way is to look on individual individual grids usually have event sections. But as much as I'm not a huge fan of Facebook, within Facebook there are at least 10, 15, maybe even 20 groups set up specifically to tell you about events that are happening in OpenSim.
Yeah.
And some of them have just a few members, and some have hundreds and hundreds of members. And so those really can provide a lot of places, a lot of information. Unfortunately, Inworld, it's much more difficult, I think. I don't know if you guys would agree, but it's much more difficult to find out what's happening.
Yes, that is true. You can practically only find out in the different sims individually, or the different grids. Nothing overall. Such a calendar would be pretty good, where you can open the calendar and it shows off different grids what's happening,
One thing about Facebook is that there seem to be a lot of groups, but some of them are really general groups, which is the ones you want because they're hypergrid wide, hopefully. Other groups are actually often limited to just one region, the sort of, I don't know, medieval role play or something. So, but if you search in Facebook, I almost mispronounced it again, by Hypergrid and OpenSim and, the obvious key phrases, it coughs up quite a lot of groups. And like Thirza, I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but I do tend to be in there a little bit more now, basically because I'm told that's the only way to find some people you can't find Inworld, This slideshow running now is just a quick extra. This is Shadowlands, and it's Go Vega. Just a few slides from her, I think, for 50 seconds or something. Don't know whether we've actually ever been here, but she published that this week anyway. So,
Mal, I'm just looking at the time, and we haven't got to the HIE yet. Oh, okay.
Okay, I was about to move to HIE. This is actually 50 seconds, so I thought, right, get it out of the way, and then we can dive into HIE because everything else here now is HIE, and Well, anyway, this is rather pretty. This is a region called Shadowlands, and always you see, I'm proving the point that if you watch this show, you can find places to go.
Touche.
I like to cover a whole load of stuff there. Oops, and I've got my capture software on film there. Don't know what happened there. Right, okay. So moving up here, I did mention that this is Sophie, DJ Sophie, is one of our filmers as well, sent me a load of pictures as well. So I'm going to cycle through them one by one. It starts with one of our performers called Marlon, then Zori, and then it sort of moves into more general pictures. But she's got some really great pictures here. So I'm on the arrow key, and you lot are on voices. This was, of course, Marlon's concert, which was part of the Friday celebrations before we began.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear M's experience, because I think this was possibly the. Were you coming to the event last time? M, did you make it to the HIE in 2023?
Yes, I was there in 23.
So this is your second experience. I wondered how you enjoyed it. What did you think of it? And as somebody who is sort of enjoying it, obviously you helped us a great deal. But as more of a member also of the audience as well as a performer, what did you think of it? What did you make of the concept as well as the actual events?
Actually, my participation was limited to about the opening three minutes of the 2 days of presentations. After which we hit a little snag there right at the beginning. I think I heard later that Loru could not make her presentation, and Tosha, right. I think you took over at that point.
Right.
But by the afternoon, when things had settled down, I spent a lot of time, a lot more time at the conference than I did last time, and I was really impressed by, among other things, how easy it was to follow in the different languages and how much detail I got. even I think the note cards must have been a lot better this time around.
Much better.
Yeah.
Much better.
So I
So
didn't
lots
feel
of
that I
work
was
went into
missing
those.
out at all.
The note
And I
cards
also
were
was
really
very impressed.
fantastic this time.
Yeah, and I was impressed with the variety. I mean, it's everything from contributing to the code base to Zori Jupiter's concluding story about how she got to us in the open sim grids.
Mm.
A personal story, all sorts of things in between. It was a lot of fun to watch all the performances too. I'm starting to see a certain pattern in the way they're constructed, and a certain reliance on scripting and music that seems to be kind of a feature of this as an art form. And so I was kind of listening. I'm not going to do an art critic thing on that because I enjoyed all the performances, but some of them appeal to me more than others, and that's for me to figure that out. But they were all really fascinating to watch. Oh, I had a great time. I went to I think I went to the thing Friday night for an hour or so. A kickoff dance,
Mm.
and it was a great experience. I did not get out to the huts very much. Are they
Oh,
still up?
yeah, they are for a while. I mean, there's a lot of them too. You really have missed quite a lot there. It's something we,
Yeah.
um,
And very different ones too. That
yeah,
surprised
they
me
all
really.
the booths have a similar look to them. Four walls and a roof. But after that, it's an example of what different people have managed to do with them.
And that's a good place to go if, like me, you're interested in sort of what's on offer around the hypergrid.
Yeah.
Let's just take a stroll through there. So, and that was actually in my opening speech to make sure that you didn't miss that. So then I didn't pay any attention to my own advice. But
I know that feeling. Oh, yes, I
yeah,
said I was going to do that, didn't I?
not good. Not going to be the last time, I'm sure. But I thought it was a terrific conference, and as I say, I was really impressed with the variety and with how good the communication was.
Oh, okay.
The one
I
thing
mean,
that
I speak a
fascinates-
little. I speak a little Spanish, and that's about it. So it's not like I brought a bucket full of linguistic skills to these presentations, but it was fun.
Well, I'd like
It
to
was
give
fun.
a shout out to yourself and, of course, the whole opening panel, because obviously those are also our moderators, and I thought they all did such a great job. But
Yeah, great.
Debbie Chi and, of course, Tosha here. We had Rosa Alexeyev, who did the Portuguese, who's just absolutely fabulous, and of course my darling Lorenza, who I absolutely love. She is a little bit like you because she has this glorious voice. And you have a glorious voice too. And she just, when she speaks, it's just like listening to somebody from the radio. It's just, she's just fantastic. And
What
I thought you guys all did a really good job. And of course, especially Tosha, because she had to handle the change in the program, and that wasn't easy. So I
Yes,
appreciate
I
that very
thought
much.
Tasha, you did a really good job of stepping in and
Well, thank
filling
you.
in there. So that was that helped a lot.
What I think anyways is to be fair is the ones that were the speakers that introduced or that talked a
like
little. That was
this lady
moments.
just being here.
Just
Sorry.
it's just moments, but the real job about all of that, the real job was the translation and was writing the note cards and putting them up. And really the most of this work Kelso did, just to
True.
to be true. I mean, Kelso and I did the most of the translation and the proofreading, but he did on top of it. He did the making the note cards and fixing them up real well so that like Evan said, they were much better than last year. They were just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the people who were feeding me the note cards were really on the ball too.
Yes. Yep.
They
Yeah.
did a nice introduction, and then the note cards kept coming. And in
Yeah.
some cases, I simply copied all the note cards. The presentation about working on documentation and bug reports and stuff.
I don't. Just to interrupt a second. I don't know if you noticed that on film, but the audience has suddenly gone up into the sky for this one by twos. So the cameras up here are now up in the air, and we're standing on clouds. So
Yeah, and that was a smart thing to do, to save those notes, because that was a really interesting. I thought Jeff did a great job in explaining just how any of us could get involved in helping Open Simulator, because it's easy to imagine it's just this mystical world that only the chosen few can be involved. But I thought it was great the way he made it. He made it very human.
Yeah,
He's a very funny
approachable.
guy. He doesn't look like he's going to be funny
is.
because he looks very severe, but he can be really funny.
No, and
His note cards are funny.
Yeah, and he wrote afterwards how much he was enjoying it too. So it was great. We also had, of course, a speech in Italian from a certain Thirza Ember, which was fascinating because normally whenever I looked at the screen, 4 language note cards had popped up and I had to choose which one I wanted, and obviously English, but I didn't actually get to hear or read, rather, Thirza's speech in English, which is a shame because I was looking at the slides. And you were going back, weren't you, Thirza, to way long back to the arts blog you had in The Other Place, for example.
That's right. Yeah,
really
a
quite
bit
a
of
lot.
history lesson.
Yeah, so I'll have to watch the translation of that at some point. So,
I thought that was there was a much more extensive history of your whole project than I realized, and it was really fun to hear it all, all kind of brought together.
Yeah.
So I participated in a couple, and it's an impressive program. I think brings a lot of people together and gets us moving around to the different areas in the hypergrid.
Yeah. I think so too. Safari is really a great thing.
This, by the way, is up in the sky again, and I didn't realize at first, but so many little things that you see on the build up in the sky there, you really have to zoom in and then realize that this is all the inside movement in the petals of a flower kind of thing, if that's the way to describe it. And it's just little details, because compared with the whole build in the sky, this was just a tiny little object, that you come in on. And it's just fascinating, all those little details, basically. Here was another one, you just zoomed in.
Yeah.
It's like a what do you call it?
It's cool the way you filmed that.
Where you just pick it up and zoom in, and you see all this stuff going on. If you just sit there dancing, you wouldn't even notice it.
Yeah, it's very cool how you did that. I didn't see any of the flowers like that.
Yeah, well, I didn't at first, but I was busy coming around up there, and I thought, well, I'll go nose around here with my camera. I think it was the only time I had any space, to relax and do something was during the 20 minutes of the presentations. So if it's an Inworld thing, I thought, well, for 15 minutes I'm not needed on stage, so I can go and nose around a bit. So that's really how.
There's some nice camera work too on the edited videos from this. So.
Yes, there was. Really nice.
I did mention earlier at the start that if you go to HIE Expo on YouTube, all the talk sessions are up there. I think you can use YouTube's translation as well if you need, and the full length thing, because all these had dedicated music going with them, which I'm really just giving you a visual impression here with the little amount of time we have. So look who's there. Right, I'm going to move on to a bit about Lampy. Again, Lampithalo is her name. Again, my rough footage has got all sorts of stuff going on here before she started. But I'm sure we'll get that. Here we are. Right. Now, somebody mentioned earlier, was it you, Tosha, saying you couldn't get to see this or something?
Yeah, well, I saw every second of the pyramids that she made, or well, I don't know how many pyramids she made and she showed, but I saw maybe 3, and
It
as a whole.
It reminded me. I'll fast forward on this because I'm not going to play 20 minutes of it. I haven't got time. But it reminded me of one of those cakes that's got lots of layers on them. You know, they make them for events. And, you know, got a big fat base, then another layer, another layer. And there's one point here where we get these things she's resin just add up to quite. Now, there's a tower, for example.
What it reminded me of is these kind of pyramids, but made in sort of wood, but then also painted and with candles underneath, and they make them turn for Christmas. You know, that's a typical East German kind of thing. And
the sculpture was like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, you can see all the pyramids on the video, the edited video.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, this was really done very roughly while I was in there, just so we have something to show while we're reflecting on it. But James and the co have done a very good job on the videos. And, well, I mean, James is broadcasting live, but we also have one, so I think it's 4 other videographers: Pet Love, Sophie, Jessica.
Yep, and myself.
Oh, 4. Right. Okay. I thought there was another one somewhere. Right. Yeah. All with different styles and things, but you know, doing a good job. So by the time you got all that film put together, you were able to presumably edit from everybody's footage a bit to get, you know, the perfect blend, shall we say?
Yeah. Yeah, and then a thing this year that was different is I wanted each of the contributing videography people to do edits. So each person has provided an edit on the finished products, which is, you know, that lends to the variety and the diversity of the entire
experience. Nice. Yeah. I think that is very, very well done, and I noticed that very much.
Yeah. No, yes, it's absolutely good. I mean, it's just like every person.
Beautiful.
I mean, you said earlier, for example, that, you know, you sensed a sort of style to some of these presentations and things. You know, I don't know, like particles or things on platforms. Or
well,
whatever.
They're limited by scripting too, and things that people use. Repetition. There are cycles in them. There are rhythms in them that are clearly the rhythms from scripting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's Vela, who's one of the ones who we had. James did a short version of it or whatever. It's an example of, you know, where you could technically repeat the first part and have a double video. It's the whole soundtrack. But what you were saying is obviously true. But what James is saying is that by having the individual film people interpret each performance, I mean, obviously what's actually happening in the this one's lovely on the stage is, you know, what it is, but depending on each camera, you know, whether they pan in on people and performers, like here I kept on loving to just get close-ups of her dancing there with that amazing costume, or, you know, technically I think everybody doing filming actually stuck to the region. Was it region environment settings, or was it just plain midnight?
No,
I forget.
Midnight.
It was midnight in the end, wasn't it? Yeah. That way, at least, it's consistent, you know, for different filmers. But, you know, everybody's style is different. You know.
Well, that's the thing, don't you think, though, Mal? And the other, I'm sure you all agree. An event like this it's a sort of a theatrical variety show in a way. So we're bringing together lots and lots of people, and they're all used to working independently and doing their own thing on their own grid or their own regions. And it's almost, to me at least, it's almost miraculous that we can actually do this, because we are limiting people to what they, you know, they don't have the freedoms that they have at home. So we're kind of telling them the limitations within which they have to work, And yet here they are, just absolutely shining one after another. And not just these performers. So obviously this is Tara, and she was brilliant. But even just making the expo booths, it's part of the same thing, because you're asking people to work within a framework that maybe is not their style. And yet look how many different incredible expo booths we got. There was, I think, 103 by the time the date of closure. So that's a huge amount of booths, and sort of representing all kinds of different things happening in all kinds of different sims. So I just am amazed how everybody was willing to sort of cooperate with something which was quite often outside their comfort zone. But wow, when you see it all put together, you realize what a wonderful, varied world we live in.
Yeah, it was like you said, it was a miracle that it worked out, because everyone of the artists and of the speakers, of the builders, everybody has his own head or her own head, and then to put it together as one round thing, that was, at times I thought, really, at times I go home, I throw out my PC out of the window. I will not do any more here, because nothing worked out, nothing. And we tried and we talked and we did, and then in the end it was so smoothly, everything. I mean, really fantastic. I mean, look at, like, Tara, we had, well, some problems with her to make her see that there are limitations, and she wanted to have it her own way, her own way, her own way, and it was not possible. And in the end, we got her. We found a way that she was really great, and that was with all the others too. The other one that.
Well, to be fair, there's also the language barrier and the cultural barrier quite
Amazing.
often.
No, I don't.
I think at the end of the day, quite often people do want to, they want to cooperate, but we don't all. We all actually want the same thing, but we don't all express it in the same way. So that makes it complicated to understand that actually we're all on the same page.
And I know.
Here we are at the end.
I know the person who did the most public relations and smoothing kinds of work during the rehearsals I attended was Thirza.
Yep.
Of course.
Oh, quit it, guys.
Yes.
Everybody worked really hard, please.
Of course. No, Thirza was.
No, you were the one who often stepped in and smoothed things over when people were getting a little irritated, a little tense. You would say something nice, and then it would all settle down.
Everybody's a volunteer, and I certainly was. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying. It's very kind of you, but I certainly was not the only one trying to make it work. I think everybody was, and obviously sometimes we're all a bit, more tired or more frustrated, or just not quite grasping what the other person is getting at. But I love these shots you've got of this is the final show that Nick's green.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. That was so great. That was so great. And I did with the EEP, this was, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I tried afterwards to do the same on my on Firestorm. There was no way. I make it and it looks wonderful. And I go out of the EEP and everything is gone.
It's I don't fully understand it, but well, I'm not giving too much away. We actually have somebody booked for this show where we're going to Nick's own place. We're going to take our studio in the sky, I guess, to one of Nick's own places, and we'll present the show as normal. But behind us, through the windows, as it were, you'll see lots of Nick's presentation too, because it gets a bit much if you're just looking at the skies, but we'll have to stage in front of these backgrounds, and that's the plan. So
there were also a lot of very worthwhile presentations that were not extravaganzas at all, but were really like the sorts of things that I used to hear at academic conferences. Just information. Cat Ragoose, a thing about collaboration.
That's so interesting you say that, though, Anne. Yeah, because I remember you said to me, you asked me when you first got involved, you said, well, what's the theme of the event? because usually most conferences have a theme, the keynote, and then from that the talk. And I said to you, there is no theme, there's no specific theme other than life in OpenSim, and that's really because everybody has such a different experience. It would really be almost impossible to have a themed conference because people are doing such very different things. So that's kind of the advantage of it, is that we have these varied talks. Oh no, the crickets!
I can't believe it. It's only 10 past. Yeah, okay. I've still got Cherry to go, and I got a word of Mobby to end on. But so I think we're sort of we'll be done by the half hour at least. Yeah. So this is Nick again, and everybody dancing up there. Nice opening with Thirza there on her thing. Oh, and credit to Thirza too. She made me an HIE version of my jacket as well. Forgotten all about that. Right. Okay. So one more. Yeah. Oh yes, Cherry. Right. I can't. It's not fair to say anybody was a highlight, but everybody so looks forward to Cherry. She ended the show in the landing region and in the last one, but this was an actual performance on stage. And we've seen some of this in the photos already. She basically took over the whole place. And after a while, even the people sitting in the auditorium probably began to wonder where they were. They weren't in the sky, but
I think her use of music is changing and becoming more sophisticated with this last performance. I was really impressed with it, especially the way she brought everything way down at the end and really made you feel like the piece was coming together and was finished.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
It's funny, for all four of the major performances, I actually I was given the 20 minutes of audio beforehand. So I'd actually played through a lot of this out of context, just listening to the soundtrack, so that when it actually came, I was able to pay more attention to what the actual avatar was doing at the different points in the soundtrack, because some of the two of the soundtracks in particular were very varied, so they did a lot to alter the mood of the presentation.
How tight is the coordination, Mel, between the visuals and the animations and the soundtrack?
Absolutely perfect. Especially if you watch the YouTube versions. Obviously, in World, people have a little bit of different lag on sound, but the performers, they hear the sound, as you know from partaking. They hear the sound through Discord in real time, along with the pictures and stuff, and it's as synchronized as it possibly can be. And at least two of the artists were actually very fussy. I mean, sort of, no, I don't want you to cue me. I will cue you when you start playing.
Right.
They wanted it to start at an exact moment, so that they're having, maybe there's a certain point where she has that light in her hands, and there's a bit of music that goes with it.
James doesn't get very much of being an enforcer, but I really fought for that real-time audio. That was so important.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've managed to get it into Discord finally. We've got a robot that brings it in, so I was quite pleased with that as well. Yeah,
Cherry worked really hard on this show. If I could just give you a little bit of background to it. Cherry started working on the show, I guess she began, I'm going to say mid-February, something like that. It's the first time she came in and told me that she would do it.
Yeah.
Which was not entirely pleased to be asked again, but she stepped up. And she also agreed to be in the Portuguese part, which she really wanted to be in the French part, but in the end it kind of worked out best, because that meant that we had this wonderful sort of finale piece in the Portuguese session. So Cherry's way of working is that, first of all, she took the measurements and dimensions of our auditorium, which I think all of us know are not exactly symmetrical or straight necessarily. So it's quite a challenge just to figure that out, especially because they're based on 4 different regions. You're standing, when you're in the auditorium, in the intersection of 4 regions, of which 3 are the public, the audience, and the 4th region, that sort of segment of the 4th region is where the stage is, where the performers are standing. So it's quite tricky to do everything because everything is kind of on a 45-degree angle because you're pointing in towards that intersection of the 4 regions. So just to get everything balanced and everything in the correct position is really, really tricky. And then on top of that, what she did was she took the fact that she had 20 minutes and she divided up that time so that every 2 minutes you would change the scene. And that's really what makes the work function the way it does. It keeps your interest because it's continually changing. In fact, you never will see everything. 2 people will not see exactly the same experience because you will notice some details that somebody else didn't notice because you only see it for 2 minutes and then the scene changes. So that's how she works it. And that means that she has to have 10 distinct scenes that she's created in order to then kind of sew them all together in a way that matches the music, which her friend Morlita, from who's a very famous music, well, I don't know if you call it music, sound experience person from Second Life, made this music for her, made this soundtrack for her. And so we're very, very lucky to have that too. And the whole thing is just an amazing experience.
Lisa Kwan is her name, I think. Is that the same, Lisa? Oh, I thought her name was Kwan anyway. Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you one more thing, that if you did miss it, if anybody who's watching the show now did miss this, we're actually going to do an encore performance when the expo closes. The safari in the week when the expo closes, we'll do that. I think it's May 22nd, but I'll definitely write it in the comments. Let me double check. Yes, it's May the 22nd, so it's like a month from now. We'll have an expo, and a visit to the expo again by the safari, and part of that will be Cherry redoing this show, so you'll be able to watch it all again.
Wonderful.
Check
And
it
it
out.
probably,
Right.
and it probably a different experience every time, depending where you're sitting.
What I liked so much is that she really included the whole scene, even the tables. Look at even the tables.
We all
changing all the time, and I think that's really fantastic.
You remember, Tosha, I kept shouting at, "Don't move the table."
Yeah.
Nobody came away from this with dry feet. It was water.
No, it was really fantastic, and also as it started, it was really funny because I got up that morning. In real life, and I looked out of my window and I said, "Oh my God, it's all gray and gray." It was fog and the clouds and everything, and it didn't change all day long. And I come in the evening, I haven't seen the scene of the event of Cherry before, and I see it, I say, "Oof, just like at home." She just copied it. It was so funny. Of course she didn't, but it was,
both
thrilling.
We're not going to do favoritism here or anything, but I mean, both the previous HIE, the one in the autumn and the first one, when 6 years ago, I think it was. Cherry, what Cherry did was the highlight of all of them. She closed this one and the one before, and she did some totally disruptive stuff to the audience in the first one. It was wonderful stuff, really. And we've got our own film, so do check out the HIE Expo channel on YouTube to see the real things rather than just. I don't know where that data character came from. He came and sat by me and I trying to stop me doing my camera work. He did.
Well, I believe that's an altar Kelso, isn't it? I think that's Kelso's altar.
Yes, it may be Kelso Footman or something. Yeah. So as you can see, as Thirza was saying, I'm just skipping forward here, but literally about every 2 minutes or something, the scene changes. Some of it, sometimes she'll keep something from the previous scene, but add new things. So it's it's like a montage of things building up over time. So yeah, well, oh yeah, and a big explosion. Oh, I love this touch. There's a big thing of light at the end, and then there's all these floating HIE logos scattered around the sky. They're easy to miss because they don't move much.
HIE monster.
Yeah, camera behind them there. Okay, well, we finished the clips and stuff to talk over. So, and if what I do have, I think we'll sign out with this. In fact, is one of the performers, another big one I'm a big fan of on Saturday night, was a chap called Roland Wobbit, and he gave a lovely performance as he always does. They blues basically. And it was an acoustic set, but I also got this week a set of him with his band. It wasn't at HIE, but I thought it'd be nice to play. It's actually, I think it might even be in German. Der Lack ist ab. Does that make sense, Tosha?
No, it does not make sense.
DER, then LACK, then IST, then AB. Well, I don't know, but I don't understand it, but I did enjoy it.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I think at this point, well, I think we'll just play Wobbit, shall we, to go out on, and I'll close and say goodbye to everybody after that, shall I? So let's have some Roland Wobbit, and this will actually come with sound. So it's our little finishing touch, as it were. I think. When it plays, it will be. That's oh yeah.
Their luck is up. Yeah.
Right.
That means the polish is gone. The best is gone.
Oh, okay, right. So
What a great man.
That's actually a way of saying that somebody is getting old. Their luck is up. And that's exactly what his song is about too.
yeah.
Yeah, the thrill is gone. No, not quite.
No,
Because you can still have a thrill even though their luck is up. Luck is up means just that. You're not so shiny anymore.
Yeah, there's actually the chord structure of this reminded. I think this is based on B.B. King's song, which is actually called "The Day Is Gone."
Okay.
Presumably,
that may be. Yes.
Yeah.
This is the best guitar animation I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's just good. This.
And I just lost Mal. Anybody else?
Guitar, Tony Joe White and people like that sound like this. Is B.B. King, of course. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Sadly, I have to leave you. It's been a pleasure being here today, but unfortunately, I'm kind of over my time allotted time.
Right. Okay.
So I'm going to say farewell.
Yeah, we've had a hint of that anyway, haven't we? So we know what's going on.
I'll let you.
Okay.
I'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Okay.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Thirza. And on air, of course, live. She vanishes. Gosh golly, never mind. Okay, I'd like to thank everybody who's been here. Obviously, my wonderful co-host, Thirza Ember, who did a wonderful vanishing out there. And on my right, of course, the knob pusher himself, the knob fiddler, the sitter, whatever, James Atlloud. Thank you, James.
Yep, thanks, Mel.
Also, of course, thank you to our guests who've helped us reminisce over everything that happened last weekend. Firstly, M. Jennings. Thank you, M.
Pleasure, Mel. Thank you.
And thank you, of course, to Tosha Tyran. Thank you, Tosha.
My pleasure.
And with that, I'm going to do the normal sign out. We're still within sort of proper boundaries. There won't be another alarm yet, I hope. I'd wish you all a very good morning, a very good afternoon, a very good evening, or indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And we're out of here. See you next week.
Bye-bye.